Hey, you guys, welcome to Alex and Andy Live. We are coming to you, as always, live from Shanghai. It is Monday, the 11th of April, 2022. Right now, we're looking at a live shot of Shanghai's Lujiazui, the famous financial district. Alex, how's your day been?
Not bad at all. Hanging out. You?
Yeah, the same. I just received a test. What is it called again?
Antigen test?
Antigen test from the volunteer. She just knocked on the door, so I'm going to do that after the show maybe and send it through. But yeah, what do you think of the view? We've got a new view thanks to 看看新闻, K News.
So that is the iconic view of the Lujiazui Shanghai Financial Center, which is on the Pudong side, the eastern side of the river. So this shot is taken from the Bund, which is on the western side. And it is the best view of Shanghai that there is. You can see the Oriental Pearl Tower there on the left. You see the building that we colloquially call the bottle opener there in the middle. You can tell by its shape. And then Shanghai Center there, Shanghai Tower, which is the third tallest building in the world, right there on the right. And so it is a magnificent view. It's one of my favorite scenes in the city. So it's good to see. It's all lit up, even if it isn't necessarily flush with people walking the streets right now. But it's still good to see.
Yeah, it is a nice sight. Good to see. And like you mentioned, it is all lit up. I think the lighting display switches on at 7 p.m. So that happens probably automatically. Oh, but we do see the Oriental Pearl Towers has gone a little bit dark there. But yeah, it'll be back. But yeah, beautiful view and nice to see. Now, just quickly, the numbers today here in Shanghai, we had 914 new symptomatic cases and 25,173 new asymptomatic cases. Now, these numbers are not much different from the past 2 or 3 days. Obviously, I'm not going to try to analyze these, but yeah, we've yet to see the numbers coming down in any significant way, although today's asymptomatic cases are slightly down on yesterday's. I think it's a negligible number though, Alex. What do you think?
Yeah, true. So yesterday's were right around 1,000. Today we're just over 900. We continue to see a small uptick day by day, day over day, in terms of the total number of cases, mainly asymptomatic. Just a small, usually, just a couple percent increase. Again, we're just waiting to get over that hump to where that number starts to descend.
Yes, but I want to know, when's it going to happen?
No, I don't want to speculate on that, but let's hope it happens soon. Again, I'm not really sure. I check it every day, obviously, and we report on it every day. But so 25,173 today. We're hoping that number is smaller tomorrow, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, we will have to wait and see. So I had a case in my compound yesterday, so that's not a good sign. But I did see some information on shine.cn the other day that the incubation period of the Omicron variant is actually just 3 days. Right. So it happens quite fast. So, Shanghai was locked down citywide from April 1st. So that means that cases are still spreading, obviously, regardless of lockdown, but clearly they'll be much lower than would be, obviously, if the city was fully open. But here are some details on shine.cn on today or yesterday's cases. These cases are for Sunday, the 10th of April. They come out, obviously, the day after. So there were 564 patients who tested positive during central quarantine, about 300 who tested positive during the screening of high-risk people, and about another 70 who used to be asymptomatic infections. So yeah, I think pretty similar to the day before.
Yeah, absolutely. Just you can see it over the last 3 or 4 days. We've just had a small, steady sort of increase. It's good. When you look at a lot of situations in other cities in different situations, you saw massive spikes and great increases over short periods of time. So we haven't had that. So I guess that's one thing to be optimistic about, even if we haven't quite, it seems, gotten over the hump just yet.
Right. We're definitely keeping optimistic, that's for sure. And one of the factors that is helping in that is the fact that around 43% so far of the xiaoqu, or the communities that have been tallied, obviously it's not all of Shanghai, have been released under or designated as precautionary areas. We remember the other day we mentioned the 3 levels. There's precautionary, which means there haven't been any cases in 14 days. So those people are allowed to leave home and leave their compound and travel around their district. 7,565 such compounds were announced as released today. And as I said, that's about 43% of the tallied xiaoqu. Then the middle level is controlled, which means there haven't been cases in the past 7 days, which means those people will be allowed to walk out of their apartments and walk around their compound. That is about 14%. And then about 7,624, again, around about 43% are still completely locked down because they have had cases recently. That includes my compound here. But I just want to stress that these compounds that have been calculated today are just for Jinshan, Chongming, Jing'an, and Putuo. So the rest of Shanghai has yet to be calculated. But if you look at those numbers, if you put it across all of Shanghai, which obviously isn't very scientific, it is good news that around about 43% are in that precautionary area. What do you think, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's important to note that this doesn't mean that the lockdown is totally lifted for those people. It just means that they are allowed to go downstairs. They are allowed to 足可以出户. It means that you can actually get your foot out the door, and they're allowed to go downstairs and even outside the compound. Now, I know, obviously, I know several people who that's happened to today, fortunately for them, but they aren't allowed to just roam freely around the city or even their entire district. For example, in Jing'an district, just to give an example, I saw a message from a friend of mine's compound, and they basically sent him a message and said there was a specific, nearly square-shaped area of just a few city blocks that they're allowed to travel around in. It said that they were not allowed to drive their cars if they're car owners. But they are allowed to go out, but of course they're encouraged to stay at home as much as possible, stay within their compounds as much as possible, only allowed to go out really for essential things, maybe, just if there's something that they need to do outside, they can go out, maybe walk the dog and maybe get a breath of fresh air, but they're not encouraged to spend the entire day outside walking around, obviously, given the situation.
No, that's for sure. And also, like you said, it definitely doesn't mean the lockdown's over. People can't go to work. The public transportation system is still locked down, and the government is still asking, even though if you're in that precautionary group that hasn't had cases in 14 days, they are asking that you just leave home, leave your compound if necessary. Maybe you're going to buy supplies or seeking medical treatment. But otherwise, it's still being asked that you do stay at home. So we're not by any means saying that the lockdown is over for those 43% currently who are in the precautionary group. The Shanghai is still very much under lockdown. The cases are climbing, and Shanghai is still in a critical position. So we do need to still keep vigilant, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So as we talked about before, there are 3 different categories of neighborhoods. Obviously, unfortunately, Andy and I both had cases in our neighborhoods yesterday, which means that we go back to the start. I had a friend of mine make a pretty, I thought it was a bit of a funny analogy, making a little bit of light of the situation. Andy, have you ever heard of the board game called Sorry?
I think I have.
Yeah, so it's a board game. Piece goes around the board, but if you get knocked off the board, then the person has to say sorry, and you have to go back to square one. And so he was saying he had a case. No. Yeah, so his compound was just a couple of days from hitting the 14 days that they could get out. And then he said, "Oh, we got sorried back to day 1 today." So he got knocked off the board. And I mean, it's not funny. He was upset about it, obviously. But I thought it was a bit of an analogy making light of a tough situation there. But yeah, so
well,
anyway.
I think it actually, when you're speaking of board games, I think I haven't heard of the game Sorry, but it does ring a bell with the game Snakes and Ladders. Did you ever play that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Same sort of thing.
Similar.
You get bitten by a snake, you go down, you hit a ladder, you go up. It's kind of like that's kind of what's happening here in Shanghai. Obviously, those compounds who have gone into precautionary status today and who can leave their compound and go for a walk around the vicinity, they may very well find out in the coming days. I hope not, but they may find out that there's a case in the area, in which case it's back to square one, 14 days starts again.
Yep, that's the situation. And so I guess, if you are able to get outside, get downstairs, walk around, make sure not to overdo it. I mean, I know that we've all been inside for a number of days, and there's nothing I want more than to go downstairs and run around and have a great time, which, it's okay to get some sun and get out there and get some good exercise, but just make sure not to overdo it. Don't engage in risky behavior, or else you'll be back to square one again. So nobody wants that.
Exactly. That is definitely what we want to keep an eye out. You want to make sure you're obviously still wearing a mask, still monitoring social distance. Obviously, with these new rules, even if you're under precautionary status, there are no large gatherings, obviously. And that is also why public transportation will remain closed, because obviously that puts people into small confined spaces together. So definitely, if you're under the precautionary status and you're allowed to leave home, that we're really happy for you. Obviously, I can't do that, but do keep in mind personal safety and just watch, you're not getting too close to other people and putting yourself at risk, because you will be putting, like Alex said, your whole community into the possibility of going back into lockdown. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. Just make sure you do that. Although, I did see another video today. I'm not sure if we have it today, but if we do, we'll play it later. I'm not sure, but it was a video of one of the first compounds for the lockdown to be partially or to be lifted, where they're put under the provisional situation. And they were really, really happy to get outside and get around, get some sunshine. And so I'm looking forward to that happening, hopefully within, 13 days from now, but we'll see what happens. Don't be frustrated. One thing, and Andy, I'd like to get your opinion on this. I was saying that, even if I am still locked down in my house, I would like to see at least some people milling out and about a little bit from time to time. You know what I mean? That way it's not totally quiet. A little bit of sound out there will make me feel a little bit more optimistic about where we're headed.
For sure. Hey, Alex, I just want to draw your attention now to our screen, which is live footage from our reporter, Zhou Shengjie, who is currently driving around in what looks like Jing'an district. He is obviously a reporter for Shanghai Daily, so he is out on the street in the process of collecting stories. And this is live footage coming in for those of you who are longing to see what it's like outside at the moment. This is it. Does it look like Jing'an district to you, Alex?
It does, except minus the one thing that makes it great, which is the people. But beyond that, yeah, sure. I mean, obviously Jack's got a media pass. Not all of us at Shanghai Daily do. They didn't let all of us out and about. There's just a select few who are doing journalistic work out there and getting stories. Jack's one of them. And so he gets to drive around in Jing'an district with absolutely no traffic, which is going to be the only time any of us will ever experience that.
Exactly. But it is interesting to see. Interesting, but not surprising that obviously still you need to follow the traffic rules. Jack is currently at a red light, so they're waiting. But you can see, I see some police barriers there, which is interesting. And also I have noticed, 不少, we don't really say that in English, not many people, not few. How would you say that? People on bikes and stuff. Yeah. We've seen a few actually in this short video that we're getting live from Jack Zhou Shengjie right now on the streets of Shanghai as he goes about his journalistic work.
Yeah, definitely. Not a small. I would say they're not a small number of people out there on bikes, and those are presumably are delivery drivers and other essential workers who are bringing essential goods to people's compounds for them to then be distributed to the people who need them, food and medicine perhaps, and other things like that. Here he goes. I did think it was curious, obviously as I peered out my window earlier in this lockdown, that the red lights were still switching and turned on. I was like, what is the point of that? But then again, if there are two cars on the road, I guess there's a possibility that they'll be crossing through the same intersection. So maybe it's still important to keep those lights on.
Exactly. I'm just trying to, oh no, that's not right. I don't want to be the main one. There we go. Oh, now our faces are covered. That ain't going to work. Forget that. Okay, now I think Jack Zhou Shengjie is going to keep driving around for a little bit. I think he may be heading back to the office, actually. Yeah. A lot of our viewers maybe don't know that currently media staff are sleeping in the office, and that is the case as well with our outlet, Shanghai Daily. We have about 10 staff members, I think, including Jack, who are currently sleeping at the office with sleeping bags, eating food in the canteen, and going about, for one, putting Shanghai Daily, the newspaper, together, which still comes out every day, even through these tough times. And Jack obviously is heading out to do photos and video. not just for the newspaper, but for shine.cn. So good stuff. Good hard work there.
Thank you to Jack and everyone else who's doing that, who's biting the bullet and doing that. Obviously, Andy and I are at our houses. We're bringing the live stream to you, but I think it's easier for us to sit on our sofas and do this than it is for the people who are actually spending all day and all night in the office. So we thank them, and we hope to see them again as soon as possible.
Exactly. Now we have some comments on the Shanghai Daily Shine WeChat channel. Xinhua says that currently the footage appears to be Huaihui Road, which is obviously one of the most famous streets here in Shanghai. IAPM, they said. They just went past IAPM. Another person, Leon, has asked, how does this lady get to ride her bicycle? Well, as Alex said before, anyone you see outside at present in this video here has permission. They're obviously part of essential industries. So that could be food delivery or anything of the sort. So everybody you see outside has the special permission to be there. So don't worry about that.
Right, and then of course, as we mentioned, there are a number of districts that will enter. What did you call it? Provisional What was the lockdown? The people that can go outside. What is the name of it again?
Precautionary.
Cautionary. Thank you.
Right.
Yes, cautionary lockdown. So you will start to see a few people out and about. Although, again, if you're one of those people, you have to stay within a certain range, a certain area in the city, a small area, and you're not allowed to travel all over the place. So you might see a few more people out and about, perhaps on bikes or e-bikes, or maybe just getting some exercise. And so hopefully you're one of those people. If not, like Andy and I definitely are not, we're counting the days down until we can be amongst them.
Yeah, we are. We're counting those days down. And, like snakes and ladders, like sorry, you can go from, free right back to square one. So, I, for one, am counting down 14 days from yesterday. Anyway, thank you, Zhou Shengdia, for that footage. I'm going to leave, if you can hear me, I'm going to leave the footage up for as long as you guys are driving for, and may switch back to it periodically. But for now, I need to put on another video, which is from our reporter, Zhu Yuting, who is part of the precautionary group, which is one of the Shaoqu, one of the communities who have not had cases within the past 14 days. So she has sent in a video where she went downstairs. I think I haven't seen the video yet. It's just come in to walk her dog for the first time in a while. So let's check that out. And when we get back, we'll have a chat with her here live with Alex and Andy live from Shanghai. Yep, put it. Sorry, you guys. One sec. Live TV. Is it video?
So far, I was going to say that only Jinshan district and Chongming district, which are very suburban. Chongming is obviously the island north of Shanghai. Jinshan is a suburban district south of the city. Then also Jing'an and Putuo districts have released so far the lists of Xiaoqu and the list of neighborhoods that are to be cautionarily released from lockdown. Just to travel around in the vicinity of those neighborhoods. Presumably, the remainder of Shanghai's districts will come out with their lists in a short period of time, and then you'll be able to sort of track the cases in your neighborhood if you're in any group or anything like that. And if you're into that sort of thing, count down the days until you reach zero. Or if you just don't want to worry about it, that's fine as well, and just wait for the notification if counting down is sort of a stressful thing. But in any case, a number of the districts, Jinshan, Chongming, Jing'an, and Putuo, have released those lists so far. So
we're looking forward to about 12 more districts releasing probably tomorrow, I would imagine. Yeah, I have that video now, so my technical issues have been sorted out. Let's watch that, and we'll come back and have a chat with our reporter. We're about to go out. The dog is really excited. Let's get into the elevator. Sorry, you guys, no subtitles. Super excited. Freedom.
I know our canine friends will be
看到我们前2天一直封着的门，今天已经打开了。
The door's already open after being locked down.
出
You can go out.
但是路上现在还是没什么人。
Not really any people outside at the moment.
对，因为我们周围还封着呢。
因为 because the area around is still closed down.
我们现在这边是静安区，马路的另外一侧就是虹口区了，所以我们不能到另外一侧去。
This is Jing'an District. Across the way is Hongkou, so they can't cross.
已经可以看到其他小区解封的居民在路边溜达了。
There are some others walking their
但
dogs.
是这边的这个商场还封着。
This market is still closed down, and there's still tape up, blocking it off.
怎么了？有人吗？
不是道路，你看。
哦，还是拦着的哈。
Oh,
我们现在到 Penny 最喜欢的小花园了，带他去草地，带他去草地。
still some areas locked off. Heading over to the grass.
地上已经有这么多落叶了。
没人扫，而且草长长了。
So many leaves.
这是 Penny 最喜欢的草地，
This is her favorite area of
好
grass.
久不见，分外想念。
Hasn't been here a lot of time in a long time.
这落叶好厉害。
像秋天一样。
It's just like autumn.
Autumn, yeah.
So many leaves on the ground.
真是一条自由自在的小狗。
Oh, a free doggy. So cute.
Yeah.
So that was our reporter Zhu Yuting taking her dog downstairs. What do you feel watching that, Alex? Do you feel a little
Well,
bit?
I feel I don't want to say jealousy. I don't feel that way. I do feel slightly maybe envious, just a little bit, just because of course we've been in lockdown for nearly 2 weeks. Where we are, of course, not nearly as long as some other people. I have friends that have rounded 30 days at this point. But at the same time, it's good to see. I never thought I would be, I don't want to be captivated, but sort of just, so
Like
interested
such a normal
in video, but yeah, normal everyday video being something where you're like, wow, look at that, So.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, let's bring in our reporter now, Zhu Yuting. How did it feel today to go downstairs?
Actually, I'm really excited. So exciting. And as soon as we heard that our compound is lifted, and we walked our dog as soon as possible, because I think she's more excited than me.
Yeah, she was obviously extremely excited. Yeah. So, how did you deal with the dog situation while you were still in lockdown? And how good was it to let her outside?
I'm sorry, pardon?
I said, what did you do with the dog while you were still locked down? And then how did you go out?
We used some newspaper to make her a toilet.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's sometimes that it didn't work. So my dog refused to use the toilet. But finally, we embrace this exciting moment. Can take her outside.
Yep.
And she can has her freedom.
Yeah, it looks really exciting. So when you were downstairs, did you guys come across any other dogs? And was your dog excited to see other dogs?
Yeah, actually we only met one dog, but the dog is still in a controlled compound. And our dog just say hi to her friend across the gate, the compound gate.
So I wanted to ask.
I take a photo. I really want to share with you guys.
Okay.
How can? No.
You can show your phone, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
While you look for it, I want to ask you, like, so how? Oh, let's show it. Let's see it. Oh, I see.
Did you see that?
Yeah, we can see it. Saying hello to her friend there.
Yeah, and smile at each other.
Yeah,
so cute.
And
So
I also saw some people live in the controlled compound. They enjoy their limited freedom. They can move around their compound.
Right, they can move around their compound, but they're not allowed to go outside just yet.
Yeah.
Right? So I did want to ask you though. So you said that you live in Jing'an, but right across the street is Hongkou, right?
Yeah.
I'm in a similar situation. I live in Putuo, but right across the street is Jing'an. But in any case, my question is, how far were you able to walk? Were you able, like, how long of a distance could you walk before you had to turn around? Like, how big is the area that you're free to walk around in?
I think there are. We are only allowed to move around within the sub-district, Daning Road sub-district.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's, but I actually don't know how large it is.
Okay.
So, but I think there are several blocks. Maybe 20. Maybe let me check. I think there maybe 30 or 40 compound within the and over 20 blocks. I can move.
Yeah.
I think
the photo is good. You say?
Although it's not as big as in the city, but I think it's enough for me right now.
It's good enough.
In the pictures I've seen, you can go maybe 3 or 4 streets one way or 3 or 4 streets another way, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow, very interesting. Thank you so much. It looks like something I'm looking forward to. 14 days when I can go for a walk. 朱玉婷，非常感谢. We will see you next time.
And good luck for you guys. Hope you can get better.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy it. Enjoy the outside.
Bye bye.
Right, bye.
Yeah, I thought one of the really interesting things about her video was when she said she's in Jing'an district, and then just across the way is Hongkou district. So according to the new rules, she's in the precautionary stage, which means she can walk around within her sub-district, which means technically she shouldn't really cross the road. But I was wondering how strict that may be policed. Obviously, we don't have the answers, but do you have any ideas, Alex?
I don't. I mean, I suspect, obviously, anyone who's lived in Shanghai for any appreciable amount of time knows the sheer volume of cameras that exists in Shanghai.
Right.
And so I'm not sure how closely they're watching, but if what's happened since the beginning of the pandemic is any indication, fairly strictly. And so I imagine that there is at least somebody paying attention to the borders of these sub-districts, making sure no one crosses into the other sub-districts, given the veracity with which they have enforced the COVID rules so far. So I would imagine that, it's probably best not to test that. I don't know. I can't. I'm just speculating, but I think pushing the rules right now is probably not your best course of action.
Yeah, I would agree. Don't push the rules, you guys. And I would, if I had to guess, I would imagine that the precautionary level, we are allowed to walk around your sub-districts, probably won't be policed. It'll just be left up to you, to be honest. So yeah, we really hope people will do the right thing. Obviously, it's not just affecting you. If you end up coming into, becoming sick or coming into contact with people you shouldn't, it will affect your whole district. Anyway, Alex, we're watching right now another video from our reporter, Shanghai Daily reporter colleague Zhou Shengjie, who sent this footage in from earlier. This is him biking around, probably back to the office. It's just another interesting view of the streets, what it's like in Shanghai, that is today. So yeah, this is biking footage. I can't tell which district, probably still relatively similar.
Yeah, well, our office is located in Jing'an, so I guess that's where that is, although I can't quite tell from what I'm looking at right now. But yeah, this was, I guess, a couple hours ago, back in the gloaming, in the dusk. Obviously, it's dark now here in Shanghai as we're around 8 o'clock p.m. But yeah, it's like I say, there are a few cars on the road. Again, these cars have permits to be out and about, presumably delivering goods and different things that are necessary for people. So, yeah.
And there's still a woman just standing on the road, oblivious to the dangers of that. But anyway, bless her, normal Shanghai. Right, now I'm going to move along to another story, which is about, actually, speaking of Shanghai Daily, Shanghai Daily has started a donation campaign called Go Shanghai that is in connection with a few multinational companies, where Shanghai Daily is donating to children who are currently under quarantine at the Shanghai New International Expo Center, in Pudong. So a lot of the donations include 500 boxes of baby diapers and wipes from US personal care giant Kimberly-Clark. We've also organized 216 cans of baby formula from Jumex, nearly 30,000 masks from Min Medicare, Qingdao Beihao Medica, and Shanghai United Family Hospital. 100 toys. Here's a video of some being delivered, actually, to children in quarantine. 100 toys from Lego, and 400 packages, this made me a bit jealous, of food from McDonald's. So that is thanks to, organized rather, by Shanghai Daily in cooperation with some multinational companies here in Shanghai. Nice news.
Absolutely good. Yeah, it's good to see some people getting some things to make them smile a little bit, especially the kids. And so we're happy to see that. And I'm glad that our company was able to put that together and help out with that.
Yeah, I did ask if people are able to make personal donations to the Shanghai Daily Go Shanghai campaign. At the moment, no, but Shanghai Daily is obviously still working with trying to lock down some more, I shouldn't say the word lockdown, trying to grab some more donations from other multinational companies in the area to benefit some of the children who are currently under quarantine in Shanghai at the moment. That is benefiting children at the Shanghai New International Expo Center in Pudong. So good stuff, good stuff.
Absolutely.
Right, I'm going to move along to our guest, but first, Alex, I think you'll be into this story. A US drummer called Charles Foldish actually went drumming. He has a drum kit, which he doesn't obviously get to use much here in Shanghai, especially with how close apartments are. But recently, during the lockdown, he found a lot of his neighbors were screaming from the rooftops, trying to let out energy. So he joined in with a chorus on his drums, and it actually went viral. So I'll play a bit of that video now, and then when we get back, we'll have a chat with Charles.
Excellent.
Rockstar. Here's Charles now. How's it going? Turn it down. Can you hear us, Charles?
Yeah, I hear you. How you guys doing?
Excellent, excellent. How you holding up so far?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Right.
Yeah, not too bad. I got drums, I got music. I'm happy.
Good, good. Well, I just wanted to say, I know you're quite a well-known and renowned drummer, but for those of our viewers who may not be familiar, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and what you do here in Shanghai?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'm a drummer and a music educator here in Shanghai. I came in fall of 2007.
Oh, wow.
And just been playing ever since. Been busy performing and teaching. That's pretty much
Awesome.
it. Yeah.
Nice. So I want to know, because I have actually younger brothers who play the drums, and they need to go to hire those spaces with soundproofing. Otherwise, people get really annoyed. What was the reaction from your neighbors this time, though, and were you surprised?
Excuse me. What was that?
What was the reaction from your neighbors? I know a lot of people in normal times would find drumming quite irritating, but this time you had quite a positive response. What can you tell us about that?
Well, generally, I'm able to practice here I've got a home studio here. So I'm able to practice and I teach out of the home studio. And the neighbors are really cool in this community. So I can get away with playing. I'm obviously not going to be playing as hard as I was playing for the little balcony show. But for this one, the neighbors, you know, outside, everybody was having kind of a big celebration. So I figured, you know, let's take the drums out there and spread some positive energy and go out there and set up on the balcony and see what happens.
So I want to ask, was it something that was arranged? I know in my compound yesterday, they had like a cloud concert that everyone joined, like a Zoom call or something related to that. And it was planned and set up, and they had like a set list, right? With all the different people in our neighborhood. So was this like that? Was it something that was planned out, or did you just sort of do it on a whim?
No, it wasn't planned at all. I think that, you know, there was kind of some coordination going on within the group chat, the community chat on WeChat. But I wasn't in that chat, so I didn't know. I just heard a bunch of people going crazy out there, and I said, all right, I'm going to go play some drums. And then the following night was when they had a more kind of coordinated, scheduled type celebration.
Right.
Oh, nice. So, you know, I've never played drums before, but it looks quite therapeutic. Like, it looks like a real energy release. Like if you have some pent up tension. Like how did that feel? On it, obviously, it looked like you were really letting out some steam. Yeah. Was that the case, or?
Yeah, well, it was a little bit of that, but also I wanted something that was going to, you know, you got a big apartment compound here, so I needed to hit a little bit harder than I would normally play, but also I wanted it to be high energy, so that I could, you know, just lift everybody up a little bit. So that was the goal with that.
Definitely. I wanted to ask you one more question that's not lockdown related. It's just that I know you've been here in Shanghai for 14 years, longer than me. But I just wanted to sort of ask you, you know, I know you've played in a lot of shows, worked with a lot of artists. Who are some of your favorite like artists in China to work with that you've worked with, or maybe a memorable event that you participated in during your time here?
Well, all of the musicians here on the jazz scene, I love working with everybody that's here on the jazz scene. Yeah. I've got my own band that I love to play with. I'm the house band drummer at a club called Heyday. So I love playing with all the musicians that come through there. But some of the standouts, I think, there was a television show that I played on where there was a number of well-known Chinese pop singers. And that was a lot of fun to do that. But I think probably one of the biggest standouts was a recent tour that I did with a movie director. It was a concept theater show, and the movie director's name is Zhang Yimou.
Yes.
Oh, very famous.
Yeah. So, and that was just an outstanding production. And, you know, there was just so much talent in that whole show. And so that was a pleasure to be a part of that. That was definitely a standout there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know obviously he's super famous. He's the guy that directed both Olympic ceremonies in Beijing and a whole bunch of other famous stuff. Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
Awesome, Charles. Thank you so much. Obviously, we hope to see more of your work once we're free after lockdown, and we will catch up with you another time. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for having me. You guys take care.
You too. Cheers. Wow, that's so cool. I have a comment on our Shanghai Daily WeChat group. Someone says, Feng says, if you do that in my compound, they'll call the police. Now, I think normally that would be the case, but now we're in unique times. So I think people are welcoming any escape from the current monotony. And it looks like Charles's drumming really went down a treat. So yeah, awesome. I wish I had that here in my compound.
Yeah, I mean, I do suspect, as he is a professional drummer, that in his studio at home, he's done some pretty good soundproofing and things like that. Obviously, if he's a professional drummer and a drum instructor, he's going to be playing a lot of drums. And so I'm sure that he's got some soundproofing. Plus, he obviously has understanding neighbors as well. I'm not sure where he lives, but it seems cool. Like he's got a cool group of neighbors who are understanding of what he does for a living. So that's great. And obviously, they get to enjoy the fruits of that during his little mini show, his little impromptu performance there recently. So that's cool.
Yeah, really awesome stuff. But now we're going to switch to a bit more of a serious topic. Actually, one of China's preeminent, I guess that's the right word, Liang Wannian. He is the head of China's COVID-19 expert team for the National Health Commission. Now he's come out, he was interviewed recently by national media, and he has come out with an argument against the idea of home quarantine for asymptomatic cases during the Shanghai lockdown. So if you're interested to see why he's against that, I know a lot of people in Shanghai have been very vocal about being supportive of home quarantine. This is probably a good insight into the official position. I'll play that first now, Alex, and then when we come back, we'll have a chat about it.
Okay.
但是有众多的研究来提示，它也可以通过直接的接触，特别是在家庭隔离的时候，有证据已经显示，它可以通过下水道这些通风系统来实行传播。我想从这些角度来看，上海的人群的密度大，聚集的这个楼宇之间的都比较近，更多的塔楼，还有很多的城中村，还有很多在家庭共用的卫生间，甚至共用的厨房。同时对一些流动人口，尤其城乡结合部的地方，可能在一个家庭或者一个集体的宿舍人口比较多，所以一旦这个轻症病人、无症状感染发生感染的话，它就会又形成快速的传播。所以从这几点考虑，我们还是要坚持集中隔离，因为我们现在实行的是动态清理，也就是要把社区的感染者要全部的把它找出来，然后要实行隔离和管理，包括适应的治疗。如果说这个无症状感染者和轻症的病人在家的话，那么其实上它是有传染性的。那么这种传染性，大家知道奥密克戎的传播力有这么快，那么你就无法确保他在家庭隔离的时候不对家人造成续发性的感染。那么续发性的感染增多，它势必会引起进一步的广泛传播。从全球的各国的奥密克戎流行情况看，无症状感染者和轻症病人都具备传染性，并不是说过去是有症状的住院的病人才有传染性，无症状同样有传染性。居家隔离它实际上需要条件的，那么你如何来保证家庭的一些相应的隔离条件，如何来监控我们的感染者他的病程的发展。说感染者尤其是老年人，一些脆弱人群，如果居家隔离的话，他的病情进展就无法做到及时的监控和发现，那也就无法有效的执行及时的救治。所以也是为了保障老百姓的身体健康和生命安全的需要，我们要特别关注老年人群他的防控问题。上海的老年人群就60岁以上人群的比例结构是比较高的，那么它的2500万人老年人群的绝对数是大的，我们要制定各种的办法来保护它，像疫苗接种，上海的老年人的疫苗接种还是需要进一步的强化它的接种率，尤其是全程接种率的提升，来防止它的感染，或者即使感染以后，要通过疫苗接种来降低它的重症率和死亡率。有效的疫苗接种可以90%以上的效率来防止它的重症和死亡。
Alex, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think I agree with the last thing you said there. I think it's really important that everyone gets vaccinated. I think that's the number one best thing we can do to prevent getting seriously sick. And I know that there is a large elderly population in Shanghai that definitely needs to be considered and protected. I think it's important that make sure that they are vaccinated. And then my other thought is, if we're going to proceed with a central quarantine and we're not going to allow people to quarantine at home. And I think that's very important that we make sure that the conditions at the quarantine facilities are up to standard and people don't have to suffer through and don't have to be, in a situation where they're around a bunch of people and the disease can be transmitted. And it's just, we want to make sure that everyone in the central quarantine facilities, if we're going to continue to send people there, which it sounds like we are, then we want to make sure those places are all right.
Right. I'm sure you've seen online a lot of videos of the varying quality of the central quarantine sites that we're seeing here in Shanghai. Obviously, the ones like at the Expo Center are of higher quality than some that have been erected quite quickly. I've seen some videos of people arriving at quarantine sites that look like, construction sites. There's still stuff all over the floor, rubbish. The structure hasn't been completely closed off. So obviously, I think if Shanghai is going to continue, and China in general, with sending asymptomatic cases into central quarantine, you're completely right, Alex. I think we need to ensure that the quality of those spaces is up to standard. And that could include also, or should include, also ensuring that people can shower. I think that's a big one that's missing at the moment. But yeah, I think people will be, by and large, much more open to the idea if those spaces are brought up to some kind of standard, that they're all brought above that standard. I think that's what people are hoping for. But yeah, as we just saw there, word from the head of China's COVID-19 expert team. So I think it is fair to say that that is the direction we're going to continue heading, at least for the time being.
Yeah. And one other thing that I did want to mention, as if I've seen it, I'm sure thousands of other people have seen different stories floating around. Now that we have, as we reported yesterday, there have been over 11,000 people who have tested negative after being sent to central quarantine, tested negative twice over a 48-hour period, making them eligible to return home. And I believe the number was over 11,000 yesterday. Surely it's greater today. And there have been reports, there have been instances we've captured on video as we all use social media. We've seen that sometimes a Juehui or a neighborhood committee will not allow someone, I guess there's like a vote, and they don't allow someone who's returned from quarantine return home. And the Shanghai government announced a couple of days ago, it was the other day on the 8th or the 9th, that is now illegal. And so if you or someone has had that happen to them, I've had people I know that happen to, I just made sure to tell them that it is now illegal. It is not allowed for a neighborhood committee or any security guard. If you have been released from quarantine because you are now testing negative, they're not allowed to keep you out of your apartment. You should not need to go pay for a hotel yourself until this lockdown is over. You can return to your own apartment. They're not allowed to lock you out. So,
right, this is very important because that has been the case, as Alex said. Some people have been refused permission from their Juehui. Actually, the Juehui, as you mentioned, has no authority to refuse permission in that situation. So you guys, if you do find yourself being refused a return home after becoming clear of COVID-19 and being in central quarantine, and you don't know what to do, call 12345. I know that sounds annoying because that's what we always say, but legally they're not allowed to reject you. So I keep that in mind. But I also want to bring up something else because we were mentioning the quality of some of these videos we've seen online of the central quarantine sites. I don't know if you saw, Alex, but there was a video going around of people sleeping in cardboard boxes that kind of look like coffins. And that video people were claiming was from a Shanghai central quarantine site. And you'll see, if you check out shine.cn, which is Shanghai Daily's website, that video has been debunked. That video was actually not filmed in Shanghai. It was filmed somewhere else in China, which is still worrying. But yeah, do also be careful of the videos you see online. Obviously, they need to be verified. So it's important to keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's definitely true. I mean, when you see a video, obviously, in 2022, we have the ability to doctor videos, but I don't think that that's usually what's happening. Just the question is it coming from time and the place that it's represented as coming from? And sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't. And sometimes it's hard to sort of distinguish between those two situations. So.
Exactly. We do really need to keep context in mind, because what happens, as we all know with social media, is certain videos will go viral that might even be, like you said, Alex, from another time, maybe a few months ago, that have picked up viral status online because of the current context and the current situation. So it is really important to keep your wits about you. Take what you see with a pinch of salt. We're not saying everything you see is false. but definitely there is a possibility.
Yeah, it isn't to say that everything that you see is false. Definitely not. I mean, obviously, we all sort of understand how to decipher that sort of thing, especially those of us who have sort of, who have experience with these sort of things on social media and stuff like this.
Which is everybody these days, yeah. We're all used to it. We really need to, be very careful what we're consuming online, what we take as fact. And I want to stress one more time before we let you guys go. You can head along to our website, shine.cn. Shine.cn is the official website of Shanghai Daily, and we have been spending a lot of time, as you can see here, debunking or pointing out a lot of the viral news or videos online that may in fact have turned out to be fake news or in the wrong context. So obviously that video with the cardboard boxes was one example. So if you do hear something that you think you want to verify whether it's true or not, check out shine.cn, see if it's on there. Otherwise, you could scan the QR code that you can see on screen now and join our Shanghai Daily Q&A group on WeChat. That's an English language group where we will try our best to answer any questions you have, including those about whether things you've seen online are true or not.
Right. If we can find out the origins of any video or story or whatever, we have debunked a number of rumors that have been floating around. And, listen, we understand, and I'm sure, I understand on a personal level, during a situation where there maybe not be 100% transparency with what's going on all the time. Number one. Number two, also just the changing nature of the pandemic, of course, that actually leads to policies changing here and there. And so that, plus being locked down, plus, the social media era that we're in, it creates a rumor factory. And so a lot of different things fly around, some of them positive, some of them negative, some of them true, some of them false. The idea the point I'm trying to make here is don't get too overly hopeful or overly upset about any particular rumor that you see. Just try and check it out. Check out shine.cn, check out some other official news sources, not just random stuff. And try and see if that's actually a thing or if it's just something that somebody made up to give people false hope, frighten people, scam people, whatever it may be.
Exactly. The internet is obviously jam-packed with information. Obviously, not all of it is accurate. So do be careful. I just want to quickly read some comments or address some comments from our Shanghai Daily WeChat right now that have come through. Michael asked, will children still be separated from parents in central quarantine? No, that policy was changed, thankfully. The Shanghai government acted on that quite quickly, I think at least a week ago now. Now children who test positive for COVID-19, regardless of whether their parents are positive or not, can be accompanied into central quarantine with a parent. If those children are under 7, the parent and the child will go to a pediatric center. If the child is over 7, the parent and the child will go to a normal central quarantine site with pediatric nurses. So that is good news. Children will not be separated from their parents if they go to quarantine. Someone else said, actually it's Michael again. He said, thank you for your nightly broadcast. It is a lifeline for us. No worries at all, Michael. We will come back again tomorrow at the same time, 7:30. But that is it for tonight. Alex, do you have anything else you want to add?
That's all I got for today. Let's go through one more day. I know congratulations to the people that are able to go downstairs and get some of that beautiful sunshine that we're getting. It was hot today, 33 degrees, I think. So
34, yeah.
Yeah. But that's fine. That's fine. Congratulations to the people that can get out there and enjoy it. Make sure you're staying safe so that you don't get re-locked in. And for the rest of us who are still in here, well, let's just hunker down and ride it out. So, but we'll see you all tomorrow. We'll be back on the air tomorrow, same time, same place.
That is true. We'll see you then. And we will leave you this evening with this beautiful view of Lujiazui, which is live thanks to Kan Kan Xinwen, K News. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.